Thanks so much for your time. After having written about the intricate details of Magashule's alleged involvement in large-scale corruption in your book, Gangster State, do you feel there's enough conclusive evidence for a successful prosecution?
Look, undoubtedly, I think a law enforcement, the prosecution's body like the NPA, doesn't take the decision to prosecute lightly. They would be pretty sure of their case if they are confident enough to bring it this far. And so that's on the prosecutorial side of things. But speaking from an investigative journalist point of view, I've been working through these leaked emails, which kind of form the basis of a large segment of the book, and certainly there are a couple of compelling indications of then Premier Magashule's direct involvement in financial dealings relating to this allegedly corrupt contract in the Free State.
Do you think the case against him relating to the asbestos tender is stronger than a case would have been based purely on the details relating to the Vrede Dairy project?
Well, I think we shouldn't forget the fact that the Estina matter hasn't been permanently parked or discarded. I think there are certainly indications that investigations into that matter are ongoing, and I wouldn't preclude the possibility that Mr. Magashule might also face charges relating to corruption charges relating to the Vrede or Estina matter. I think we have a situation where various teams within the law enforcement world, the fraternity, are looking at different things, and a particular team, this time by all appearances, the NPA in the Free State, specifically in Bloemfontein, have managed to wrap up their work on the asbestos matter quicker than possibly another unit or team in the NPA who are looking at the Vrede matter specifically.
Through your extensive research, you probably know him better than most South Africans. How do you think Mr. Magashule is going to handle the matter?
Well, from what I've seen today on air, he was interviewed live, of course, at a walk-in event for the ANC, an electioneering event, and by all appearances, he seems to be taking it in his stride. He does appear quite calm. So I would probably venture to guess that he would continue the strategy of, and the grouping around him, continue the strategy of playing it out as a matter where the law enforcement bodies has been, captured by a grouping, and that he's now unfairly being targeted by the NPA because of his political affiliations and political position, as opposed to any real culpability for corruption. So I think that ploy or that strategy is what they would be rolling out in the next couple of days, certainly.
We are all too familiar with that from the prosecution of Jacob Zuma. Now, if Ace Magashule is the current ace in the corruption pack, excuse me for that, how many cards will he likely bring down with him, and which ones would topple first?
Yeah, that'll be absolutely interesting to see, certainly. I think there's a very long history of individuals, political figures who become implicated in corrupt dealings and get prosecuted and then decide that they aren't quite willing to suffer their fate on their own, and then they do decide to spill the beans, as it were, on some of their colleagues. So I think that presents a very real opportunity for the National Prosecuting Authority to extract even more useful information in terms of their ongoing work into corruption in the province. That being said, though, that kind of strategy, the Section 204 approach, where, you kind of get somebody to turn state witness and then divulge the information, that's usually a strategy you employ with lower rung officials in the hope to prosecute somebody as senior as Mr. Magashule. So in this instance, it really is kind of the top rung of the ladder, political ladder in the province, that has now been ensnared by the law enforcement body. So I do not think that there will be too much scope for that in terms of getting more senior people implicated in corruption. I mean, he was the political head of the party and the province, and also on top of what I described as a fully fledged criminal syndicate in the province.
Well, thank you very much for your insights. Gangster State author Pieter-Louis Myburgh.